So bodybuilding and powerlifting, is it even viable to compete in both? I've been lifting for 10 years and I've competed in both bodybuilding and powerlifting. I've done 13 bodybuilding shows, 5 powerlifting meets, all sort of at the same time. So I'm going to share my experience about how I've managed them both, the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, would I recommend it? We'll talk about it. First, I'll talk about the good things. So the pros of doing bodybuilding, you learn how to control your body to a T because it's extremely detailed. You know, you're counting like every single gram of protein, every vegetable that goes into your body. You are very much on top of your own data, and the control that you have over 1, your muscle mass, 2, like your composition is like unparalleled. Like you talk to most powerlifters and they don't really know a lot about nutrition. So that gave me a pretty good cutting edge when it came to powerlifting because I was definitely fueling my body well, that's for sure. Second thing is with bodybuilding, you're obviously putting a lot of muscle mass on. Muscle mass, while it doesn't directly translate to strength, it definitely helps in the long run if you have a lot of muscle mass. And then the third pro about competing in bodybuilding is you know how to suffer. I will say that. When you are bodybuilding and you are like 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out, 6 weeks out, and you're getting super shredded, you feel like shit. Like you are not going to feel good. You don't have any energy. It's hard to do basic tasks at that point when you're getting to like 12, 11, 10% body fat as a woman. So you're really good at getting things done when you don't feel good, which is another good skill that transfers over to powerlifting because, you know, when you're peaking for a powerlifting meet and all that fatigue is building up, you don't really want to go to the gym. You know, you're really tired. It's exhausting. But having that grit from bodybuilding helped me tremendously. And then as far as pros go for powerlifting training is very structured. You know, you have to know your progressions. You have to know how percentages work. RIR, RPE, whatever your method of choice, you have to be extremely structured in your programming when it comes to powerlifting if you're actually going to put kilos on your total in a controlled manner that's reliable. Looking at a lot of bodybuilders in the industry, you know, I've seen some programs, man. It's literally just like throwing spaghetti on paper sometimes. I would say bodybuilders do not know how to program as much as powerlifters do. And bringing structure into bodybuilding program can be incredibly beneficial, especially when you get to that 6, 7, 8, 9 year of training mark and your body just really starts to plateau. You know, you're fighting for every single like ounce of muscle that you're adding to your frame at that point. So whatever advantage you can get, it's going to be worth it. And then the last positive I would say about powerlifting training is you learn how to train to failure for real, because you are always on that edge trying to push as much weight as possible. A lot of bodybuilders, mostly in bikini, I'll say, don't know how to train hard. I'm just going to say it. Like a lot of them will just hammer drugs, go train with their little booty bands and, you know, they'll get big, but is it a healthy and sustainable way? Not really, not a lot of times. I've seen some bad things in this industry after 10 years. So learning how to push your body to that point of true failure, like not failure where it burns a little, but failure where you literally cannot stand up, is incredibly important for bodybuilding. So now that I've talked about the positives and how each sport kind of does carry over into one another, let's talk about the cons and the negatives. So when it comes to bodybuilding and you are going through periods of extreme deficit, right? You are not going to be making progress in any way, shape, or form when it comes to muscle mass or strength in the gym. Like when I am 4 weeks out from a show, I am a weak little bitch. Like I'm pushing things hard, but the amount of weight that I'm able to push in the gym is probably like half, 3/4 of what I'm usually doing if I'm lucky. So that time that you're spent in deep deficit is just lost. Where if you didn't do a prep to begin with and you just cruised at maintenance or surplus, you know, you would have spent all that time actually making progress. So with cutting for bodybuilding, in trying to pursue powerlifting, I do feel like I've lost a lot of time when it comes to progress that I could be making. Second big con, bodybuilding requires you to build muscle in very specific places, especially as you get higher and higher on the totem pole. So like when I'm competing at the national level, obviously the areas that I need to grow in comparison to like a local stage are going to be very specific. So for example, a lot of times my feedback is to grow like a little bit more delts, a little bit more glutes, minimize the quads, things like that. Keep your waist really tiny. And if you're constantly focused on like the big compound lifts like bench, squat, deadlift, you're not spending that time and energy growing those specific parts of your body. Like for example, squats are going to hit the quads, deadlift is going to hit the core and posterior chain. Like your back's probably going to get a little juicy. For bench, bikini competitors don't need chest muscles, and it's also going to work your arms a lot, which for bikini, you don't necessarily want big arms, but rather you just want big delts. And sometimes the ratios can kind of throw that off, in my opinion. So this is where things kind of hit a crossroad. So the better and better that I got at both sports, the highest level I've competed in bodybuilding, I placed top 4 at a national show, so I missed my pro card by 3 spots. And then in powerlifting, I was just about to hit a USAPL qualifying total for nationals, but they just moved up the total by like 80 kilos. So that's going to be a while, if ever. But anyway, the better that I got at both sports and the higher my goals kind of got, I realized I would have to be spending longer amounts of time in both sports to be competitive at them. So for example, in 2021, I realized after I placed top 10 at nationals, at that show I placed like 7, I realized to go up placings, I was going to have to take some time away from powerlifting to really develop those areas that needed to come up. So for the entire year of 2022, when I did go into my off season, I didn't do any powerlifting at all. I switched to high bar squats. I didn't deadlift. I only RDL'd. I didn't bench press at all. And again, I just focused on those areas that needed to grow. And then after I took that off season in 2022, when I was able to compete in 2023, I had my best placing to date. And the only thing that I got feedback on was my actual conditioning. So it did work shifting focus. I was really burnt out from that competition prep that I did. When you're super lean, you don't have a ton of energy. And it was hard for me to show up in my relationships, in my business, for my athletes. So I just decided with where I'm at in life, I need my brain functioning 24/7 if I'm going to get to where I want to go. So bodybuilding isn't super conducive to that. So I'm taking a break right now and just really focusing on powerlifting. Since my show in 2023, I slowly reversed, added back in those compounds, and I've just been focused on hitting bigger numbers in the gym. And I have made some PRs, like I just doubled 375 pounds for deadlift. I'm hoping to hit over 400 pounds here soon. So things are heading in that direction. Again, I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to hit a 480 kilo total, but I'll just keep working at it until I'm actually in a place in life where I can go back to bodybuilding. People ask me which sport I'm more passionate about, and it's just too hard to say. Bodybuilding and powerlifting are just two completely opposite sports, even though they're both lifting. For bodybuilding, you just embrace the suffer. You always learn something new about you every single prep when you have to dig deep. You're super tired, but you still have to go to the gym. You still have to do your cardio. There is nothing like that challenge in any other sport. It's just so hard and so challenging and so rewarding. I love seeing the new shreds, the new shapes, and that part to me is really, really cool. In comparison, for powerlifting, I love being strong as fuck. I love walking into the gym and maybe warming up with some working set, who knows? But it's just so empowering. It has created so much confidence in my life just to know that I am super strong and I am super capable. It's very empowering. So I have learned a lot from both sports, and I'll probably continue to do them both in the long run, even if it makes me a little bit less good at both of them. But yeah, that's my opinion. That's how I've kind of gone through both sports. If you have any questions, shoot me a message or drop it in the comments below.